Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, how are we getting on? Welcome to a brand new Starfield video. So today we are going to showcase one of the apartments in the game, this one in New Atlantis, down in the well. So let's jump into this. Okay, so yeah, there's two apartments available in New Atlantis. This one here in the well is the first one you get, and incidentally, despite being the smaller and less flashy one, actually the one you have to pay for. As to how you pick these up, let's take a little look, as it's, well, not exactly complicated, but there's a whole thing to it. So, first thing you do is head over to the mast building here, in the centre of New Atlantis, and join the UC Vanguard, as that questline is where, in fact, both of the apartments available in New Atlantis become available. So we'll head on into the lobby here, and you can see Commander Tuala hanging out over here in the corner, near his big Vanguard sign. Speak to this chap, he will invite you to join the UC Vanguard, and give you a whole bunch of quests to pursue. And during the course of that quest line, you will gain the ability to buy first apartment, and eventually get your second free apartment later on in New Atlantis. So this story kind of splits into two pieces. There's one that goes off and follows the Crimson Fleet storyline. That's one way to start it anyway, there's actually several on that one. But the other story that starts here, you're sent off on a mission to start this storyline, then it kind of gives you a fork. And if you continue on the story you've already started, when you're doing this you'll know what I mean, I'm trying to avoid spoilers, then that leads you towards where you will get access to buying property in New Atlantis. So, once you have got far enough through the Vanguard questline and opened up the ability to get your first piece of property, you'll get an activity here to speak to Zora at the Aphelion Realty office in New Atlantis. And we've got this activity tagged, so let's go over and speak to her. So do a quick 180 here and head back out the door, and you can see it's just across the plaza there. So, we'll head on in. I'll speed this up just a little bit for you, as the conversation takes a little while. So there's Zora.
Never a better time than right now to settle down and make New Atlantis home.
And we'll get around to the front of her, because she doesn't want to turn around and talk to me, apparently.
Great. It's
For
very
30k, we will buy the apartment.
I'm sure you'll love it. And the apartment is all yours. Congratulations.
And there we go. So let's head on over there. So we're going to run over to the Nat station, just below the mast building here in the middle of New Atlantis. And on the left here, there is a little lift, which takes us straight down to the well. So, if we head through here, and we'll see the medical centre on the right there, we'll just turn around the corner, head on up these stairs, that's the bar just there in front of us, or one of them, and we'll go up the stairs, round the corner, and there's the door to the apartment. So it's kind of on a little back alley, so easy to miss this place, but you do get markers on the HUD showing you where it is. But here we go, this is the before. Obviously, we get the place unfurnished. And it's pretty Spartan, pretty basic. There's a fridge in, but that's about it. The kitchen's not too bad either. To be honest, in some ways this just reminds me of my first flat. A little bit. It doesn't look anything like it, but there's certain things that are similar. And controls for the shutters, very nice. And we've got a balcony. Didn't have that in my flat. Yeah, it's compact, but 30,000 credits is quite a bit. But, you know, the economy and stuff feels a bit weird anyway. There's actually a weapons workbench up in that little space up top, though, which is handy if you need one. Nice little bit of outside space. It's kind of weird to me in some ways that this apartment is the one you have to pay for, given that the other one you get is far nicer, and we'll be going over that in a video possibly next week. It's going to take a little while to decorate. This took long enough on its own, so that one's going to take a minute. But yeah, it's weird that this kind of lesser apartment costs you a wad of cash, and then kind of makes sense at the end of the quest line, but at the end of the quest line you get a massive, really nice penthouse that doesn't cost you anything. Which slightly odd contrast, but there we go. So we've got a bedroom up here. This is rather small. You'll see what I did with it in a bit, but my pro tip would be put a single bed in here. But yeah, on the whole, there's enough space for somebody to settle in. One person, maybe a couple at a pinch. Got a bathroom across the way here. Well, I say bathroom. They seem to have an aversion to baths in Starfield, which is odd given some of the old school things that they do keep around, but we have a shower nonetheless, got a bit of a chemical shower vibe to it, and unfortunately not activatable, or it doesn't seem to be anyway. Which is, I know I've got the HUD turned off, but a slightly strange turn of events, but anyway. So yeah, a simple, small, compact apartment. I think it's probably time for me to decorate this thing. And we'll come back in just a moment and you can see what I've done with the place. Here we go, one decorated apartment. And I've got to admit, I wasn't sure about this place, and it did take some time to do, but it's come out quite nicely. A little bit of lower city living. Yeah, the pillar in the centre of this place is actually one of the harder parts to work around. It kind of gets in the way of a lot of designs, so you have to kind of factor that in. But I decided to make my first foray here into decorating with junk items. So we've got a whole bunch of foodstuffs around the kitchen. We've got those pans that I put into place, the plates on the right there. And yeah, it's quite cool. I'm really pleased that Bethesda added this feature that you could just drop stuff on the floor, go into build mode, pick it up and place it, and it becomes static. Incidentally, I don't know about stuff sinking in. I haven't had that happen yet, but we'll see. But you can just pick stuff up once you've placed it in build mode. It does make it static and stops it flying around, but it doesn't stop you collecting it and taking it back into your inventory. At least it doesn't in here anyway, so that's a good thing, at least from a decoration standpoint, so you're not kind of fixed. You can change your mind if you like. Putting stuff in the fridge was a bit of a nightmare though. And this mannequin I decided to put in the middle of the apartment here, which I like the fact that they got different poses for them, so you can put your spacesuits or whatever on in different, poses. But yeah, that particular mannequin scared the absolute crap out of me the other day because I'd forgotten I'd put it there. I quite like this table, I have to admit. I wouldn't mind that in my own place. But bit of an odd choice, I think, in some ways to put the spaceship model on there, but I saw it in the menus. I was like, well, I've got to put it somewhere. That's about the only place with enough space, because they're quite big models, those. What do you put under the stairs? Loads of crap. That's what I put under the stairs. So, yeah, that's what I went with under there. A nice little seating area here. Decent bit of junk decoration on here. Some odd stuff. There's definitely some odd items floating around. Placing things close together, it can be a bit of an issue. Definitely a bit of a challenge. You see that on the table in the middle there? That's a portable CD player. Yeah. That thing went out of... well, they basically became obsolete, what, 20 years ago? Now? So, the fact that it's floating around 300 years in the future is weird, but it's, I had to pick it up when I saw it, you know. Quite enjoyed putting stuff in this display case here. There's a few good options for it. This is quite a decent size. It kind of functions as 3 separate ones, sort of 3 separate columns, and you have to use them each individually. So that's interesting, but I'd go for larger objects than I had there if you wanted to use that thing, because those do look a bit small. I do quite like piling just kind of junk stuff for a kind of, construction stuff that was used in the decorating of the place, sort of corner there that's shoved under the stairs. Ah, yeah, a couple of issues that I did notice with the junk decorating, looking at the plates there. One of the things that's bugged me is a lot of the collision boxes in the game Bethesda have done way better than they have in the past, but there's a few areas where they haven't, and junk items is kind of one of them, because you can't really place things close to each other sometimes, and it's kind of annoying, and you can't stack things on top of each other, so a stack of plates is a no-go, and like putting a pen on a notepad, that's a no-go as well. It's just going to have to go next to it, which is not the end of the world, but it does kind of grate a little bit, given that they've done so well in some areas. So out here on the balcony, this was a bit of a one to think about, I think, with what I wanted to do out here, because we're right outside in the well, which is the rough end of town, so leaving stuff lying around, I mean, admittedly I left a Galactic there, but leaving stuff lying around here has kind of made me think, well, somebody's just going to nick that and flog it at the earliest available opportunity, aren't they? Because, well, people are not exactly loaded down here. So I kind of kept it to a minimum in terms of some of the stuff out here, and just went for kind of big, heavy decorations that are going to be rather difficult to pick up and walk off with. But I think it's come out okay. The planters and stuff look decent. We've got some kind of a bit more rustic improvised seating out here, because it kind of fits with the rest of the vibe of the well. And you can keep your nicer stuff inside where you lock the doors, I guess. Except you can't, actually, but in terms of headcanon. So let's close this door and make our way upstairs. Sort of see here exactly why I made the thumbnail, the picture from this angle. Came out quite nicely. Do quite like that kitchen. Very clean and modern, which kind of stands out in contrast to a lot of the rest of this place, which is a bit rough around the edges and industrial. But it's definitely a vibe, this. I think brutalism was a term that I heard used recently that might apply here. We've got a little area up here for... well, this landing was kind of difficult to figure out what to do with. I was thinking about putting a desk up here, but I settled on a punching bag instead in the end. The bathroom was kind of difficult to decorate. There's not a lot of space in here. There's not a lot of stuff that it makes sense to put in here. Maybe a small table or something, possibly. Couldn't pick up any towels up or anything like that to decorate with, so... I did think about putting a towel rail on the wall, because there's one of those in the menu, but unfortunately, you see the ribbing on the wall in this, well, entire place, but particularly up here. The collision box sits on the outer edge of that, rather than following the lines, and you'll see a really good example of that right here, which is another example of Bethesda having mostly gotten collision boxes right in this game, but not in some places like that. But it means you can't push stuff back into the gaps, so it kind of ends up sat there floating, which is not a good look. Bit unfortunate, but... we do what we can to work around it. So here is the bedroom, and you can kind of see there why I would recommend making this a single bedroom rather than a double. But anyway, a little desk area here, do some work and make some notes of your adventures and stuff if you'd like to. And I quite like how this came out. I thought a simple, rustic, beaten-up desk with a whole load of bits and pieces on it would look quite nicely, and a decent bit of junk decoration, which I'm quite happy with there. That old-school computer is very, very weird. Another example of something that makes no sense in the game, but it's kind of fun anyway. Mind you, you can put a desktop monitor on there of more modern style if you want. So we've got a mirror in there. Loads of bits and pieces. I do quite like this space. It's come out okay. I've kept the wall decor kind of simple, because you see those little grommets on the wall. They have a tendency to clip through things, which there are solutions to that if you really want to, but I thought I'd just kind of lean into the style and the look of the apartment a little bit more that's kind of already there and leave that bit bare. Those books are a bit disappointing. That is as close as I could get them to sit to each other, and I really tried. So I was quite peeved at that. The collision box on placing those particular piece of junk decoration down, the books specifically, is kind of a nightmare. You know, who the heck puts 4 books on a shelf that big and spraces them out that widely? Nobody. But yeah. You also can't place them flat, which is kind of annoying. But a few minor irritations like that aside, I'm actually quite chuffed with how this apartment came out. Do wish we had more lighting options. That's one thing Starfield's base building system, home building system really, really needs, is more lighting. But hopefully we'll get some in DLC, if nothing else. Possibly via the Creation Club, but we'll have to see what the future holds on that front. So, I hope you folks enjoyed a little look around the New Atlantis apartment in the Well. If you did, please do consider dropping subs and likes. I very much appreciate it. Down below, as always, we've got social media links, merch store, and channel memberships on the blue join button if you would like to support the channel in that way. I really appreciate it. Massively, massively helps out. So massive thank you to everyone who's done that as well. And if you get the chance, join us for our live streams too. We are, of course, playing a lot of Starfield, which I'm thoroughly enjoying. And we are continuing, of course, with the Fallout 76 content as well, so do join us for that. But for now, thank you very much for watching. I look forward to speaking to you all very, very soon.